In the boundless void, where chaos reigned and darkness silently enveloped all, there was no light, no time, only an infinite emptiness. Yet God, the great Creator, was present. He was not merely a silent observer of the void, but a being filled with an unyielding will to create. Within him burned the fire of purpose, ready to ignite a new world where life, light, and beauty would flourish. With a voice both gentle and powerful, he spoke, his words resonating through the vast nothingness. "Let there be light." In that instant, the darkness was torn apart, giving way to a radiant, powerful, yet tender light. It poured into every corner of the infinite expanse, illuminating the void and bringing with it hope and the promise of a new beginning. God gazed upon the light and called it day. Turning back to the shadows, he whispered, "You shall be night." For the first time, day and night intertwined, creating the universe's first rhythm. Thus ended the first day. On the second day, God turned his gaze toward the vast waters, formless and limitless. He commanded, "Separate." Immediately the waters stirred. Some rose high, forming pristine clouds suspended gently in the sky, while the rest stretched out below, becoming vast, boundless seas. Between them, the clear blue expanse of the sky emerged, like a serene yet steadfast curtain. God looked upon the heavens and the seas, feeling the harmony and peace of his creation. He smiled softly and said, "It is good." On the third day, God directed his attention to the endless waters still covering the earth. He proclaimed, "Gather together, so dry land may appear." His words, resonating with power and love, drew the waters back, revealing the land beneath. Dry ground emerged, stark yet brimming with potential. Majestic mountains rose high, proud and unyielding, while valleys curved gently, awaiting a miraculous transformation. God turned his gaze to the earth and softly declared, "Live." At once the ground trembled, and from it sprouted the first tender shoots of life. Grass spread across the plains, a lush green carpet covering the bare soil. Wildflowers bloomed in brilliant colors, painting the earth with beauty for the first time. Towering trees stretched skyward, their branches swaying in the gentle breeze. On their limbs, ripe and vibrant fruit began to form, each one a promise of life's continuity. Every blade of grass, every leaf, and every tree seemed to whisper silent gratitude to the one who had brought them into being. God stood among the wonders he had created, his eyes filled with pride and love. He did not merely admire his work as an artist, marvels at their masterpiece, but gazed upon it with the tenderness of a father, watching his children take their first breath. He spoke softly, as if imparting a gentle reassurance. "It is good, but this is only the beginning." In the gentle light of the third day, the world began to breathe, not just with the winds that whispered through the trees, but with the pulse of life itself, planted deep within the earth. God did not simply create a world. He imbued it with a soul, a purpose, and a promise, that from this moment forward, all that is good would grow and spread, echoing across eternity as an everlasting symphony of the universe. On the fourth day, God turned his gaze to the vast expanse of the sky, where light and darkness had already begun to alternate. Yet, something was still missing, a greater purpose, a rhythm to guide the universe and sustain the life that would follow. With a voice full of authority and love, he declared, "Let there be a great light to govern the day, and a lesser light to illuminate the night. Let the stars fill the heavens to adorn the skies and guide the way." As his words echoed through creation, the sun ignited, bursting forth with golden brilliance. Its radiant light bathed the mountains, rivers, and lush fields below. The sun didn't just illuminate the earth. It infused the universe with a new rhythm, a ceaseless flow of day and night that told the endless story of time. As the day waned, the moon rose gently, its silver glow soothing the earth like a tender touch after the day's warmth. High above, the stars began to twinkle, scattered across the heavens like jewels. They didn't merely decorate the night, they carried stories and promises of hope for the future. God stood amidst this celestial masterpiece, marveling at the interplay of light and darkness, at the harmony of his creation. With a smile, his voice resonated softly but profoundly. "It is good." On the fifth day, the lights of heaven were set in motion, but the seas and skies remained quiet, awaiting their purpose. God looked upon the vast, empty expanse and felt the need for life to fill it. He proclaimed, "Let life abound. Let the seas and skies teem with creatures." His words, like a melody, stirred the waters and the heavens, calling forth the first signs of movement. Beneath the ocean's surface, life began to stir. Schools of shimmering fish darted playfully through the water, their bodies glistening like pearls beneath the sun's rays. Majestic whales glided gracefully through the depths, embodying the awe and grandeur of the seas. Dolphins leapt joyfully above the waves, their playful arcs a gesture of gratitude to their creator. In the deepest, darkest parts of the ocean, mysterious creatures glowed with bioluminescent light, their bodies illuminating an unseen, enchanting world. Every ripple, every flash of color in the waters was like a hymn sung in silent praise to God. In the skies above, the first wings unfurled. Birds soared across the heavens, their wings tracing elegant paths through the boundless blue. The smallest birds sang melodies, their pure, lilting notes becoming the first strains of nature's symphony. Powerful birds soared above mountain peaks, their majestic forms seeming to touch the heavens themselves. Their vibrant feathers, bursting with every imaginable color, didn't just decorate the skies, they symbolized the diversity and wonder of life itself. God stood amidst this vibrant, flourishing world, his eyes filled with joy. He observed every creature, each fish in the sea, each bird in the air, and felt the happiness that life brought into existence. He blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the seas and the skies, bring beauty and life to this world." As the fifth day drew to a close, the seas and the skies were no longer empty voids. They had become sanctuaries for life, places where beauty and abundance intertwined. God looked upon everything he had created, sensing the growing heartbeat of life, and declared, "It is good." It wasn't merely the beginning of life. It was the start of a promise that the world would continue to tell its story, forever growing, forever thriving. On the sixth day, God gazed upon the world he had created. Light flooded the heavens, the skies stretched vast and blue, the seas roared with power, and birds soared gracefully through the air. The world was vibrant and alive, yet God knew something was still missing, a final piece to complete the grand masterpiece. With a voice that resonated through the universe, he proclaimed, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures, from the wild beasts to those that can be tamed by mankind." His command was like a symphony that stirred the earth itself. The ground trembled as grass and shrubs parted to make way for the first creatures to emerge. Mighty horses galloped across the verdant plains, their hooves kicking up dust that sparkled in the golden sunlight. Elegant giraffes stretched their long necks toward the highest branches, and herds of majestic elephants marched through deep valleys, their footsteps reverberating like a rhythmic drumbeat across the land. The lion's roar echoed through the hills, mingling with the howls of wolves, creating a wild and powerful melody. Each creature, from the smallest insect to the most formidable predator, carried its own unique essence, forming a mosaic of life that painted the earth in countless colors. God watched his creatures, feeling the pulse of life emanating from them. A smile spread across his face as he said, "It is good." Adam lifted his head, his gaze filled with awe as he took in the boundless beauty around him. The vast sky stretched endlessly above, the seas shimmered in the distance, and rolling fields of green stretched as far as the eye could see. God guided him through valleys bursting with color, across dense, vibrant forests, and said, "Behold all that I have created. It is yours to care for, and it will serve you in return." Adam didn't just see the world, he felt it. Every creature, every blade of grass, every flowing stream was connected to him in an unbreakable bond. But as God observed Adam, he recognized a deep truth. Despite the splendor surrounding him, Adam was incomplete. He had the world, yet he was alone. God declared, "It is not good for man to be alone. I will make him a companion, someone to share his life with." God caused Adam to fall into a deep and peaceful sleep. Gently, he took a rib from Adam's side, and from it began to shape a woman. This time, he didn't just form a body. He wove into her a part of Adam himself, forging a connection that would be inseparable. When Adam awoke, God brought the woman to him. Adam's eyes widened as he beheld her, standing before him in the soft glow of creation. Her presence filled him with joy and wonder, a feeling so profound it defied words. With a trembling voice he said, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man." This woman was Eve, and from that moment, Adam and Eve were not merely two individuals. They were the complete embodiment of humanity. Together, they walked through the Garden of Eden, where birds sang sweet melodies above, streams flowed gently alongside them, and golden fields of grain swayed in the breeze. Adam and Eve were not just surrounded by nature, they were part of it, intimately connected to every living thing around them. God stood watching them, his eyes filled with love and pride. He said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, rule over the earth and care for it." As the sixth day came to an end, God looked upon everything he had created, the heavens, the seas, the animals, and humanity. A smile of deep satisfaction graced his face, and he declared with all his heart, "It is very good." In the stillness of that night, the world was complete. Yet, this was not an ending. It was the beginning of a grand story, a tale of love, responsibility, and the profound connection between humanity and all the wonders of creation. The Garden of Eden was so breathtakingly beautiful that words could scarcely capture its perfection. Every detail, the leaves, the water, even the dust, seemed meticulously crafted by God's own hands, imbued with his love and care. Clear rivers flowed gracefully through the garden, splitting into smaller streams that nourished the fertile ground. The gentle sound of water rippling over stones was like nature's eternal melody, reflecting the sunlight in sparkling patterns that danced across the surface. Trees flourished everywhere, lush and vibrant with life. Towering trees cast their cool shade over the garden, while fruit-bearing trees stood radiant, their branches heavy with an array of ripe, colorful fruits. Some fruits were as round and luminous as the moon, others were tiny and jewel-like, all inviting and fragrant, filling the air with their sweet aroma. At the heart of the garden stood two remarkable trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. These trees weren't just majestic, they radiated an almost otherworldly allure, as if they were the very soul of the garden. Birdsong filled the air. Brightly colored birds soared through the sky, their feathers shimmering in the sunlight, creating a scene both lively and serene. Animals roamed freely, existing in perfect harmony with each other and the humans. There was no fear, no conflict, only a profound rhythm of peace and balance. God walked through the garden with Adam and Eve, showing them all he had created. He said, "Everything in this garden is yours to enjoy. You may eat the fruit of any tree, except one, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat from it, you will surely die." His words were both a gentle reminder and a solemn warning. Adam and Eve listened carefully, feeling the peace and love that radiated from him, and they promised to obey. But one peaceful day, as Eve wandered through the garden, a creature appeared, the serpent. It was the most cunning of all the animals. With a soft, persuasive voice, it asked her, "Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden?" Eve, her voice full of trust, replied, "No, we are free to eat the fruit of any tree, except the one in the middle of the garden. God said we must not eat it or even touch it, or we will die." The serpent smirked, its eyes glinting with cunning. "You will not surely die," it said. "God knows that if you eat from that tree, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like him, knowing good and evil." The serpent's words planted a seed of curiosity in Eve's heart. She looked at the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and saw that its fruit was beautiful, alluring. She thought, "If I eat this, I will become wise." The temptation grew stronger, and at last she reached out, plucked a fruit, and took a bite. Its sweetness did not bring satisfaction, but an unfamiliar, unsettling awareness. She turned to Adam, offering him the fruit, and he too ate. Immediately, something profound and strange happened. They realized they were naked, and for the first time, they felt shame. In their panic, they hurriedly gathered large leaves and stitched them together to cover themselves. The innocence and peace they once knew had vanished, replaced by an overwhelming sense of vulnerability. That evening, as God walked through the garden, they heard his footsteps and were overcome with fear. They hid among the trees, trembling. For the first time, fear entered their hearts. Not fear of God's presence, but fear of their own actions. In that moment, the purity of Eden was shattered, and humanity's story shifted into a new chapter, one filled with trials, sorrow, and the weight of choices made. As God walked through the Garden of Eden that evening, his voice rang out, warm yet filled with undeniable authority. "Adam, where are you?" Adam and Eve, trembling with fear, hid among the trees. The joy and peace they once knew were now replaced by shame and dread. Finally, Adam spoke, his voice quivering. "I heard you in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." God looked at them, his gaze a mix of stern judgment and profound sorrow. "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree I commanded you not to eat from?" Adam lowered his head, unable to meet God's eyes. "The woman you put here with me, she gave me the fruit, and I ate it." God turned to Eve. In a barely audible whisper, she said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." God turned his attention to the serpent, the cunning creature that had brought chaos into his perfect creation. With a voice that carried both power and condemnation, he said, "Because you have done this, you are cursed above all livestock and wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and eat dust all the days of your life, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel." Then God turned to Eve, his voice heavy with sadness, yet tinged with love. "I will greatly increase your pain in childbirth. With pain, you will bring forth children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you." Finally, God faced Adam, the one he had lovingly shaped from the earth, who had now betrayed his trust. "Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree I commanded you not to eat from, the ground is cursed because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, for from it you were taken. Dust you are, and to dust you will return." God's words echoed through the garden, marking a moment that would forever change the course of humanity. Yet, even in his judgment, God's mercy shone through. He looked upon Adam and Eve, trembling in their hastily sewn coverings of leaves. With a love that surpassed their transgressions, God made garments of animal skins to clothe them, an act of profound compassion and sacrifice, symbolizing a love that would never fade, even in the face of sin. But Eden, the perfect sanctuary, could no longer be their home. With a heavy heart, God led them out of the garden. He knew that if they remained and ate from the tree of life, they would live forever in their fallen state, separated from His perfect love. To protect them, God stationed cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the entrance to the garden, ensuring that no one could return. Adam and Eve stepped out, leaving behind the perfection they had once known, entering a world filled with toil, pain, and uncertainty. Yet, even as they walked away from Eden, God placed a glimmer of hope within their hearts. He had promised that one day the offspring of the woman would triumph over evil. It was a promise of redemption, a faint but enduring light in the darkness of their fall. Though banished from Eden, Adam and Eve were not abandoned. God's love remained, guiding them through the trials of their new life. His promise of salvation became the fire that burned within them, an unwavering hope that carried them forward into the unknown. Adam and Eve stepped out of the Garden of Eden, the perfect home they once knew. Outside, the world was harsh and unkind, a stark contrast to the beauty they had left behind. The barren lands were cold and silent, void of the sweet fragrances and melodies that once surrounded them. Every step they took was heavy with regret, a painful reminder of what they had lost. Yet even in this new reality, they did not give in to despair. In their hearts, the faint flame of God's promise of redemption burned on, offering fragile but enduring hope. They knew life would now be hard, unforgiving soil, laborious toil, and a relentless fight for survival. But they believed a new life could be built with determination and faith. Adam worked the land, breaking the earth, sowing seeds, and nurturing crops. Eve, despite her pain, embraced motherhood, raising the life that would grow from their union. Each day was a journey, not just of survival, but of rediscovering love, forgiveness, and loyalty to God. Though they didn't know when salvation would come, they believed their descendants would carry both the burden of sin and the longing to overcome it. They understood that even though Eden was gone, God's love remained with them. Adam and Eve's journey was more than the first steps of humanity. It was the start of a greater story of redemption. Beneath the vast skies and across the unyielding earth, they carried the hope that one day humanity would reunite with God in a perfect world. This was not the end. It was the beginning of a long journey, guided by God's love and the sacred promise of salvation. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. Turn on the notification bell to stay updated and join us in exploring the enduring journey of faith, hope, and redemption.